Hey YouTubers, this is Lojay Solomonski calling on behalf of recording, actually, don't know why I still do that, on YouTube, to let you know that everything I say from now on and do on YouTube, on my channel, I'm not gonna back down. I'm not upset or mad or angry at anybody right now at this point, at this time, but I'm just giving you a fair warning. Once it's been set in stone and done and over with, I'm gonna make sure that everyone knows that every single thing I say is very truthful. I do not make things up. I never had, I never will. I may exaggerate a little bit just as a joke whatnot, or so excuse me, and or whatnot, and kid around, but everything here that I say on this channel is 100% legit. Mal, what are you doing, kitty? So I'm talking to me. That's Mal right there. 100% legitimate, real. And I'm not making anything up. I never will. People have been accusing me a lot lately that I make things up. People have been saying that I tend to lie about things a lot in life, and I don't. People had said that I am very much like not go by scout laws. I'm in the Scouts, actually. Baden-Powell Service Association, U.S. is a scout program I'm in, which is the Rover section. So I just scoot the cat away from me for a little bit, so I have focus and full concentration on doing for YouTube videos. I do not make anything I make a promise up either. When I say I make a promise and it's not a threat of any sort, of any kind, regardless on what it is. It is a thing I mean and what I preferably think what you need to think of, not as a want. Take this for an example. People think I make things up when I say that's a need, not a want, and this is a want, not a need. For example, oh, I want to have food in my stomach or sleep. No, that's not a want, that's a need. Those two things is a need. A need, for example, an actual need, someone will say, oh, I need to have internet, cable TV, I need to spend money on expensive jewelry to make myself happy and all. No, that's not a need, that's a want. People always get things, for example, like that mixed up and confused and all, in every single thing. Between life and reality, that's the two combined. Not just life and reality, as well as fantasy. The life and fantasy of our the shape, forms, and ways. people do not understand either. Wow, busy. So, start on me, so I don't mean to kick you, I'm busy. So, that's a form of reality when people get started a lot. People don't realize and understand at all. People think I do not need concentration on every singular detail. That's where they're wrong. Yes, I do. Also, every single detail, people need to start realizing, has a core life value to it. And people do not realize that at all. They don't take that into consideration at all, ever. People think in their head, in their pillow brain mind, every single day, every single second, every single quarter of a second. And this planet alone, that reality is not as important as people think it is. That people will not understand at all. That people think is not nearly as important as people want it to think. People need it to think. People should be required to know every single little details, piece by piece, bit by bit, that every single thing in life on earth that goes wrong or people think it will go wrong will go wrong. Another example, which is more of a bigger, major example, medical issues, which I have speech impediments, as you can tell at times from my previous other videos you may have seen me in, like music in the parking lot, or Music Madness, or whatever from earlier in 2019 and all. At a library called the Dyer Library Saco Museum here in Saco, Maine, which is actually, the zip code is actually 04072. Now, there is another Saco as well in the United States, and it's in Montana, Saco, Montana. It's a little town in Montana, almost similar to like what between across of Buxton, Maine, and like downtown Buxton, Maine area, and Hollis Center, Maine, combined, mixing the mixture of Gorham, Maine, and Old Orchard Beach, Maine, minus the heavy crowded people a lot of times, and minus the beach that we have here with the amusement park ride, minus that kind of beach. There may be a beach there, but minus the crowd of people with amusement park, theme park, whatnot, and games and all that stuff downtown, like here in the state of Maine in Old Orchard Beach and all. Also, people need to realize the reality and dangers of bigger things than that. For example, driving a car and flying an airplane. You are more likely to get in a crash on the ground in a vehicle on 4 wheels or 2 wheels, like a car or a bike or whatever, than you would on an airplane. Now, airplanes have potentially been known to crash before, and it's very rare case that you do get a crash on an airplane, but it does happen. But it's very more uncommon and very rare to get a crash in an airplane than you would in a car because of the compact of traffic you get on the ground versus when you get up in air in the sky. Also, another form of example of reality versus fantasy, people get confused and mix up a lot. There's a lot of laws and restrictions and rules and policies and every single thing else that goes into smaller, teeny tiny details. Yes, exactly. Details to go into that. To people try to make every single day life easier and a lot safer, but yet still to come of success on doing so. Because every single day people's life try to make it more safer, other people try to make it more harder and difficult at the same time. This is one thing I do believe in. Long time ago, whenever it did happen, for someone to come up with this idea of saying that Albert Einstein or whoever once said technology, once it was invented, that every single year or whatever, it's gonna get harder and more harder to commence to operate and stuff. I believe that, but to a certain extent. That is said to believe is because they're trying to prevent the use of wrongful hands on certain technology. And people need to realize that smart people, there are a lot more out there in the world smart people with high IQs that know how to get around with the loophole so people will know how to commit more crimes. Crimes are not just happening these days at all, just low grade into the under the radar at all anymore. Not just that way. There are cyber crimes happening nowadays too, along with that. That cyber crimes can be with any form of technology of computerized items or objects. Anywhere from desktop computer to a laptop to an iPad, maybe a new iPhone or Android device, or maybe with a new Roku, Philips, whatever smart TV you have in your home these days now. Especially with a device you can use to steal people's information and all. That's a form of cybercrime. Another form of cybercrime that can happen is at public places with unsecured Wi-Fi networks, and or places like with certain USB ports or whatever that people use to steal information from a device with that informational stealing object device. Also, another thing that in reality and all forms of actuality, yes, there we've been as a kid, we played outside. We're all playing outside before when we were younger. There's still kids or whatever out these days likes to do the same and all, but a lot has changed a lot lately over the years on how people, younger generations these days play outside. You know, and a lot more kids gets into more adventurous things, but a lot more of it is now more dangerous adventures things for kids to get into. There's a lot more weaponized technology and all that stuff, and a lot more items and objects being invented, made, produced, reproduced, mass produced, all that. You name it, you got it. You know, these days now. And more people are getting hit and sick. Almost a lot more populations and percent of this planet is more polluted now as well, with dangerous for people to know and not realize, or realize and not know about it, or vice versa. Also, there are dangers that lurks around every corner. There's no such thing as safe, effective times of without dangerments. Anybody can have a risk. You're taking a risk when every single day. You're taking a risk when you're sleeping, because you know people with medical issues. You don't know if you gonna have a medical issue in your sleep, like a epileptic seizure or whatever, or a trip moment in your sleep, which is what both of what I have. I have Tourette syndrome and I have epilepsy as well. I also have smaller forms of rare case of PES, psychogenic epileptic seizures, and PNES, psychogenic non-epileptic seizure disorders as well, and PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorders and all that stuff. A little bit form of delusional and hallucinations, and a little bit form of schizophrenia. And more likely when things start to trigger seizures and all. Another thing in reality that people need to start realizing a lot more on that same subject, that when danger lurks around the corner every single day, like not just taking a risk by sleep, you also are taking a risk when you cook, when you eat, as well as compared to stepping outside in the front lawn towards going for a walk or a drive or whatnot. Every single day you're taking a risk, regardless on what it is. Now let's move on from taking risk to age and restrictions and technology. A little more that I should have mentioned earlier before I get distracted by my cat Mao and startled me, and I accidentally kicked him. Didn't mean to, which I'm sorry, Mao, by the way. Kitty, okay, baby? Love you. That as well, age on technology and restrict whatever can actually deteriorate little more of how functionality and how things can run and look great towards the working a little bit great towards not working the way you want it at all as planned and as according to plan. Also, also another thing about that you know those Amazon Fire Sticks or Google whatever or Apple TV sticks and all. A lot of people think that, oh, I have that, I can use this on antenna and pull whatever channels I need. Like for example, the local news, or for example HBO, Cinemax,